Cool. So, your name's Joseph?
Well, my middle name's Joseph. The first name is Salvatore, Sal.
Okay, I'm Nick.
Nice to meet you.
Can I sit here? Would that be alright?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, sounds good. So what brings you down here today?
Well, my daughter's boyfriend came here from Liverpool.
Oh yeah?
And he's staying with us for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And since she works, and I've been taking her around, keeping him occupied, trying to show him the sights around Maryland.
Okay. He's like walking around today?
Yeah, I have a little trouble with the knee, so
sure.
I bring him down and show him a little bit, and then he goes on his own to window shop or whatever he's doing.
Okay. So should I call you Sal?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes,
all right.
sure.
So how did your daughter meet him?
They were buddies on the game playing on the internet. And they got to know each other pretty well from that. And then he came over here. She said, "Why don't you come over and see Maryland?" And he did, and they got to know each other a little more, and then they're getting closer. And then I say he comes over a couple times.
Okay.
It's been real nice. He's a wonderful boy.
Great.
Or man.
Okay. Excellent. Well, tell me, were you raised in the church? What's your spiritual background?
Originally, I was a Catholic.
Okay.
Went to parochial school, elementary school, parochial high school. I went to Loyola College, which is Jesuit.
Oh yeah, up in Baltimore.
Yes, right.
Okay.
You know,
I've heard of it. Yeah. I'm from Chicago originally, so there's a Loyola up there.
Right.
There's like a few Loyolas around.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't stick with it?
At that point, I didn't. What do you mean stick with it?
Well, you said that you were raised Catholic, but you didn't remain Catholic, or
yeah. Well, I'm still Catholic.
Okay.
I shouldn't have said that.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So
that's
what do you believe? What do you believe happens after you die?
Well, I thought about that, and
then the other one we had.
I go back and forth from, as human beings, we need to think that there's something else there for sure, and your faith tells you that there's an afterlife, and you'll be reunited with the Lord. I'll give you a quote. I know there ain't no heaven, but I pray there ain't no hell.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the way that a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you believe in heaven and hell?
Oh yeah.
I guess if there's a heaven, there's got to be a hell, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, how does one avoid going there?
I think it's the way you treat other people. I think that's the most important thing. If you can treat people with kindness and help people when they're in need, and just like here, I allowed you to come into my...
I appreciate that very much.
I do think it's good to show kindness to everybody.
Yeah. But you were kind of like, I don't know, I should talk with this guy.
I didn't know what you were doing first,
Okay, sure.
I thought you were trying to sell me a picture.
No. Actually, my wife is a photographer.
Oh, great.
So I just kind of pretend I bring the camera on, but no.
No, that's why I hesitated. I don't take any pictures of myself.
No, I hear you. Can I tell you a little bit about what I believe?
Sure.
So I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor, and I believe that, yes, we should be good and treat people with kindness and respect, but God's standard is perfection, and He expects perfection of us, and our conscience tells us if I talk to my daughter, I do have a daughter, she's 9, if I talk to her in the wrong way, my conscience tells me I shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
So God's standard is perfection, and if we don't meet His perfect standard, we'll be punished. That's what we deserve, just like any other criminal. Now, I don't think you're literally a criminal, but when it comes to our accountability to God, the fact that He made us, gave us everything, and we often choose to live our lives apart from Him. We often choose to do our own thing rather than submit to Him. And if God gives me perfect justice, it would not be heaven. I do good things, but I've also done bad things, or there's things that I should have done that I didn't do. And when I read the Bible, it tells me that I've not lived up to that standard perfectly.
See?
And if God were to judge me by His law, which is summarized in the Ten Commandments, it would not be heaven for me.
Sure. I differ with you a little bit on that. I think that God is real forgiving. And that's how I perceive Him. And I think He knows that we all have faults and we're all going to make mistakes and fail or whatever. But I think with true contrition, He knows what He made.
Yeah.
And he did the best He could. He did great.
Well, He made us. He made us in perfect righteousness and holiness. There, in the Garden of Eden, we were fine, but we chose to sin.
Sure.
And I, with you, Sal, I believe that God is forgiving, and that's why He sent Jesus. And the reason He sent Jesus is not to help us to do better. He came to save us. He came because there was no way for us to save ourselves. That us trying to show God our good works in order for Him to forget or to get rid of our bad, it's like bribing a judge to think that we could somehow get off scot-free.
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
I sometimes, when you mention the sun coming down and being living amongst us, I often wonder what would happen if it came down and lived amongst us here. I don't think it would get very pretty.
Yeah. How so? What do you think?
I think people would reject it. Really not accepting it. They're very secular. And I don't think we'd have done any better than the Jews and the Pharisees.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I just think it's what I see in society. It's a lot of tragedy, a lot of unkindness, a lot of distrust, a lot of hate.
Yeah. Because the Jews and the Pharisees were very religious.
Oh, I know.
You know, they really
They were hoping for.
they tried to find the Bible, follow the Bible, but I think what they didn't realize, and what many people today don't realize, is how bad our predicament is in sin. That we can't save ourselves, that we're guilty of sinning against a holy God. He made us in His image to know Him and to reflect His character, and we said no. And that's a big deal. And Jesus, when He came, like you said, he was rejected then. He talked a lot about hell. And I don't talk about hell all the time. It's not something that I enjoy talking about. But Jesus talked about it a lot. And I know that's what I deserve. It's what I believe everyone deserves because of sin. So, tell me what's going on in your mind.
That's where we differ.
Okay.
I think there's so much forgiveness in His heart, or in His spirit, that I think He wants us back with Him.
I believe that 100%. And the reason, or the way that's demonstrated, is that Jesus came and He took that judgment. Yes, when He was on the cross, He was physically suffering, but He was also taking the sins of the world upon Himself. He had the weight of the world on His shoulders, and that cross shows us how bad our sin is, but also how loving and forgiving God is. But the way that we come to God is not through trying harder and trying to do better next time. It's receiving and relying upon what Jesus did in our place. The way that we honor God is by accepting and receiving His Son that He sent for us. So when we look at the cross, we see how bad our sin is, but we see also God's love and His willingness to forgive. And Jesus died, and then 3 days later He rose from the dead. He proved that He was the Son of God. Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." As a Christian, I say that to you and to everybody else. It's not because I'm prideful or saying that I'm better than you. I'm not. I'm saying the gospel and what Jesus did shows how bad we are, but how good and how loving and gracious God is.
With you there.
And when we turn from our sin and our pride, when we say, I have nothing really that I can offer to God, all I've given him is my sin. When we trust in Jesus and what he did, we have peace with God. We don't have to worry if we've done enough good. We know that Jesus perfectly did good. And we have, the Bible talks about union with Christ. We are united to him when we receive him by faith. And when God looks at you, you trust in Jesus. He doesn't see the bad that you've done. He doesn't see the things that you failed to do. He sees what Jesus did in your place. So you don't need to fear condemnation, even though that's what I believe that's what we deserve. We have acceptance with God through what Jesus did and through trusting in what he did. And then the life that we now live, we live for Jesus. In Galatians it says, Paul says, I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. In the life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So that's the identity of a Christian. It's that God loved me and he gave himself to me through Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's...
You don't get an argument there.
Yeah. But, yeah, you have any questions for me? Or,
No, it's very nice meeting you.
I really enjoyed talking with you, Sal. I appreciate you taking the time.
Sure.